Welcome everyone. I'm excited to kick off our presentation today. We're going to explore some fun and interactive activities designed specifically for English teachers. The title of our session is Fun and Interactive Activities, 21 Easy Games for English Teachers. Over the next few minutes, I'll share practical ideas to make your lessons more engaging and enjoyable for your students. Let's dive in and discover how these games can bring energy and fun into your classroom. Now, let's look at how students can actively participate by asking questions to make guesses. This is a fun way to practice vocabulary and comprehension. Next, we'll have students draw pictures of the same subject. This helps reinforce what they've learned by engaging their creativity. The main aim here is to practice using there is and there are. When we say there is, we're talking about one thing, like there is a cat. And there are is used when talking about multiple things, like there are 3 books. So the activity involves guessing which picture is correct by asking questions, like is it big? Or does it have wings? And then drawing the picture of that subject. This way, students get to practice both asking questions and describing images, which makes the learning process more engaging and effective. Now let's look at some ways to practice the past participle. On this slide, you'll see the phrase I've read, seen, heard, and then a blank space. Your task is to write as many examples as possible to complete these sentences. The goal here is to practice using the past participle correctly. For example, you might say, I've read that book, or I've seen that movie, or I've heard that song. This exercise helps you become more confident in talking about experiences using the present perfect tense. Remember, the key point is to focus on the past participle form of the verb. This will improve your fluency and accuracy in describing what you've experienced or encountered. Now, to make it more fun and engaging, we're going to play a little game called the invention game. But first, let's practice filling in those gaps with as many examples as we can. Now let's look at how the tense changes when we shift the time of action. On the slide, we start with he watched TV, which is in the past tense. This tells us that the action happened at some point before now. Then, if we want to describe what he is doing right now, we say, he's watching TV now. Notice how we switch to the present continuous tense to emphasize that the action is happening at this very moment. The key point here is that changing the time frame of the sentence requires us to adjust the verb tense accordingly. If the action is happening right now, we use the present continuous. If it happened in the past, we use the simple past. This practice helps us become more flexible with verbs and tenses, which is essential for clear communication. And of course, the overall theme here is mastering verb forms to accurately describe actions in different times. Keep practicing these shifts, and you'll get more comfortable with expressing actions at any moment. Now let's look at this fun activity. I ask, can you type fast? And the students respond, yes, I can. This encourages them to practice using can in a real conversation. Then they fill out a yes-no chart, which helps them think about different skills they might have or want to develop. The idea here is to prepare them for a dialogue about skills so they can confidently ask and answer questions like, can you swim? Or can you ride a bike? Remember, the goal is to practice using can to talk about abilities. This activity not only makes the lesson more interactive, but also connects directly to our overall theme, talking about skills and abilities in English. So, it's a great way to build confidence and get them comfortable with this common structure. So, let's take a closer look at this slide. The question, is it under the desk? Is a simple example, but it really highlights how we use prepositions to describe the location of objects. When students ask questions like this, they're practicing their understanding of spatial relationships. In this activity, we're going to hide an object somewhere in the classroom. The goal is for you to ask questions using prepositions to figure out where the object is. For example, you might ask, is it on the desk? Or is it behind the chair? This exercise helps you become more comfortable with prepositions of place, which are essential for clear communication. Remember, the key is to pay attention to the position of objects relative to other things in the room. The overall aim here is to strengthen your ability to describe where things are, which is a fundamental part of language learning. So, think about the different prepositions you know, and use them to ask and answer questions about the hidden object. This is a fun way to practice and reinforce your understanding of spatial prepositions in a real-world context. All right, everyone, the goal here is to be the first to fill your card and win the game. Here's how we play. You'll pick words from this bag and read them aloud. Then, you'll use those words to fill in the blanks on your sentence cards. The main aim of this activity is to help you recognize words more easily, which is a key step in building strong reading skills. We're turning learning into a fun game with bingo, making it engaging and interactive. Remember, the focus is on recognizing and understanding the words, so listen carefully and have fun. This activity ties into our overall theme of developing foundational literacy skills in a playful and effective way. Let's get started and see who can fill their card first. If I stay, I will discover penicillin. This is a perfect example of a conditional clause, specifically the first conditional, which talks about real possibilities in the future depending on a certain action. Here, the action is staying, and the possible result is discovering penicillin. Now, why should I stay? Well, if I stay, I increase my chances of making a groundbreaking discovery that could save millions of lives. It's about understanding that our choices can lead to significant outcomes. Imagine role-playing as a famous scientist, like Alexander Fleming. If Fleming had decided to leave the Petri dish untouched, he might never have discovered penicillin. Staying and observing led to that incredible breakthrough. And look at the balloon. It's sinking. This visual reminds us that if we don't act or stay focused, we might miss important opportunities or face setbacks. So the key point here is that conditional sentences like these help us think about cause and effect. They encourage us to consider how our decisions today can shape our future. This connects to the overall theme of the presentation, making choices that lead to innovation and success. All right, everyone, I want you to close your eyes or put on your blindfolds for a moment. Now I'm going to describe an object to you. I'll say, it's soft, round, and fuzzy, and I want you to try and guess what it might be. As I describe it, you can reach out and touch it if you have the object in front of you. The goal here is to really focus on your sense of touch and vocabulary, how you interpret textures and shapes without relying on sight. This activity helps us improve our ability to describe and understand objects through words alone. Remember, the key here is to pay attention to the details, the feel, texture, and shape, so we can better expand our descriptive vocabulary. This exercise ties into our overall theme of developing sensory awareness and language skills, which are essential for effective communication. So, keep exploring and guessing, and let's see how many new words and sensations you can discover. Let's take a closer look at the progression from A to B to C to D, and so on. Imagine starting with Peter's angry cat, which highlights an initial emotional state, anger. That can influence behavior. As we move from this, we see it transform into Peter's bad cat, where the focus shifts to the consequences of that anger, perhaps misbehavior or negative actions. This progression illustrates how emotional states can evolve into more noticeable or impactful traits. Understanding this sequence is crucial because it underscores the importance of managing emotions early to prevent negative developments later on. It also ties into our overall theme of emotional regulation and behavioral consequences. Recognizing such patterns helps us develop better strategies for fostering positive interactions and outcomes. Have you seen Niagara Falls? If you haven't, it's definitely something you should add to your travel list. On this map, you can see our itinerary, which includes a visit to this incredible natural wonder. We've already explored some amazing sights, and Niagara Falls is often considered a highlight of any trip. Many travelers have taken the opportunity to witness its breathtaking beauty. So, have you ever seen it? If not, maybe one day you will. Remember, experiencing new places like this is what makes travel so special. So imagine a client asking, "Will I be rich?" And I might respond with a confident, "Certainly." This kind of question is very common when people are curious about their future. To answer such questions, a fortune teller often uses yes/no cards, which can give quick and clear responses. The main goal here is to practice using the future tense, which helps us talk about what might happen or what we believe will happen. This slide is part of our larger theme of understanding how to talk about the future confidently and accurately. Remember, when you answer questions about the future, using the right tense is key. It makes your predictions more believable and engaging. All right, let's get started today. Remember, our activities are highly interactive, making the learning process engaging and fun. They're perfect for adults, so you don't need any prior experience, just a willingness to participate. Plus, setting up is a breeze, so we can jump right into the action without any hassle. And now, as we come to the end, it's time to have some fun, so let's play. This is where everything comes together, allowing you to apply what you've learned in a lively and practical way. So, let's dive in and enjoy the game.